Yo, yo, says I'm live, says I'm live. Hopefully we live. I ain't done this in a minute, y'all, so I gotta make sure that it's even working. Um, Need to talk about this lawsuit here though. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Okay, I'm looking at my YouTube now. Look like we live. Look like we live. I ain't done this in a long time. I really mean it. If you've been subscribed to my channel, you know I ain't done this in a minute. All right, look like we live on YouTube. Check out a couple other platforms here. It's been a while, man. I wish I could have kept taking YouTube seriously the whole time. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Okay, it looked like we not live on Rumble, so you're gonna have to deal with that. Something's off there. Look like we ain't live on Rumble. Okay, that's cool. It's all good, we working, you know what I'm saying? Trying to stream to multiple platforms, but it'll always end up like that. It is what it is. We here. I got this RICO case that I would like to tell you guys about. It's about time we start talking about it because it's super important. I filed this RICO case in March of 2026. March 2026, I filed it. I'm pretty sure either late February or like March 2026, I filed this thing against basically the entire state of Arizona. They've been conducting all types of egregious behavior when it comes to me. Clearly, I have a systemic loss of rights when it comes to the state of Arizona, or probably the entire United States at this point. The way I'm looking at it, I don't think I have any rights at all. I've been denied access to the courts arbitrarily. Of course, they haven't. Once I started being vocal about it, and they realized that the psychological tactics that they've been using this whole time haven't completely silenced me and sent me completely into isolation, even though, I don't really have a support system or anything like that. Once they realized that, of course, they couldn't be just completely blatant and just completely ignore everything that I'm doing in the federal civil court, Sandra Day O'Connor court. But what they could do is they could just arbitrarily deny all my motions, or just arbitrarily ignore my motions and make it seem like what they're doing is normal procedure, because everybody is ignorant to their actual procedure and how the law in the courtrooms actually work. So that's what they can do. That's pretty much been what they have been doing. I'll probably get into that later into the stream. But right now, I wanted to break down exactly the details of my RICO case here, because I feel like they're super important. I feel like I need to put some music or something in the background, huh? Should I put some music or something in the background, like a beat, like some elevator music? I don't know, man. I honestly just want to get straight into this breakdown of this case here, because it's super thorough. Anybody who's dealing with what they feel like is a systemic loss of rights, or being targeted, or unfairness or conspiracy from the government or government entities, which includes the police, the paramedics, the people in the hospitals at this point, the doctors, the nurses, the nurses assistants. Those are all like government. Those are all like government entities or whatever. They're all intertwined with the government. It is what it is. I don't know if you people know that, but it's good for you to know that even the parking authority, all that, they're all tied into the federal government, along with these three-letter agencies, and they all work in tandem. They all get updates from each other. They all communicate via walkie-talkies, or like phone communications, walkie-talkie like phone communications. So it is what it is, right? Somebody named Granny Bones says that I should have never left Philadelphia and I were to receive justice out here. That doesn't make any sense. I wasn't receiving justice when I was in Philadelphia. I was being just as abused when I was in Philadelphia. And that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm out in Arizona in the first place, because I was being just as abused by the people around me in Philadelphia as I am being out here. So yeah, maybe you should stick around and learn a little bit more about my story here, Granny Bones. But in order to continue to go in on this RICO case here, I feel like it's very important for anybody who's experiencing any type of targeting. So basically, the defendants are I have Town of Gilbert, who the I have City of Chandler, I have City of Mesa. They're all for different reasons. You can read through it. Feel free to go to my complaints on Substack. I posted the link to my complaint on my Substack, but you know what? A part of me wants to do it again right now before I even get started here. So let me go ahead and post a link to my complaint. So if you guys want to follow along or you want to check it out yourselves one day when you have time to read it, you can go ahead and check it out yourselves one day when you have time to read it. I don't know why Grandma Bones would say that. I shouldn't have left Philadelphia. I definitely should have left Philadelphia. 100%. 100%. I should have left Philadelphia. I was being more abused there than I am here. So I don't know why they would say that, but let me get this link into the chat, and then we'll just keep going. We'll start reading through this complaint here. It's actually very important. My case is more bigger and important than Dirk's case. Okay. I just put a link to my RICO suit in the chat here. I don't know if it worked there. It looked like it just came out to be words or something like that. Let me see here. Share, copy, link. Yeah, that should be it. That should be the link. So it's on my Substack. Stephen Harvey 122091. Regardless, it's on my Substack. My case is bigger and more important than Dirk's. Yeah, it is, because Lil Durk is a admitted criminal. I'm not. I'm actually an innocent person. And I'm being railroaded. And I'm being targeted by the actual infrastructure, the surveillance security infrastructure that they have going on in Arizona and in the U.S. period. Before I go ahead and go on to this and continue reading it, I just want to let you guys know. I won't get into a long spiel, but all this, we need to catch up with China stuff. We need to catch up with China. We're already past China when it comes to targeting our own citizens, our own innocent citizens, and creating an infrastructure around it and incentivizing it amongst the citizens who don't care to do their research and just will take any instructions they're told. Well, those citizens are being incentivized. The useful idiots are being incentivized to target innocent people, as far in order to depopulate the country and for MK Ultra experimentation and all types of stuff. So yeah, if you ever felt like you were being watched by people on a screen, and it's like, oh, people are definitely watching my life, or why I feel like everything is centered around me, it's because it kind of is. That's what's happening. Right? So let's get into this complaint now. Straight up. So I got the Town of Gilbert. I explained my DUI case that I had a few times on this channel. So basically, I got removed from a motel illegally by the police. And then once I left, I went across the street, drove across the street, and they arrested me for DUI. The City of Chandler, I explained that on my channel. I got it basically on April 2025. Oh, sorry, April 2020, April 2nd, 2025. I was arrested for hitting someone with a deadly Arizona T-can a week and a half before I got arrested. City of Mesa is also in my complaint for multiple traffic stops and trying to set me up for planting drugs on me. Maricopa County, period. I put that as directly liable for systemic customers of algorithmic over detention and hazardous punitive inmate placement designed to inflict psychological and financial exhaustion. So here's the thing. In Maricopa County, once I was arrested for the Chandler incident on April 2nd, they sent me to a Maricopa County prison or whatever, because they charged me with a felony initially, which it got declined by the Maricopa County district attorney or whatever. Basically, they over-detained me. They kept me in jail for 6 days for a false felony for a deadly strike with a T-can that they declared. They kept me in jail for 6 days. The 2 days is the maximum. 48 hours is the maximum to be in jail for arrested for a felony. If they don't make a decision, whether you have a court date or they don't finalize their decision for prosecuting you within 2 days, you're supposed to go home. So, okay, we got Maricopa County. Oh, another thing, before I get past Maricopa County. They also they decided to lock me in prison during those 6 days with a known violent racist. Yeah, you heard that. With a known violent racist. The first thing he showed me once I got to my cell for that 6-day stint was nigger tattooed on his back, right? And Aryan Nation tattooed on his chest. So that's why I'm suing Maricopa County. So far we got Town of Gilbert, City of Chandler, City of Mesa, and Maricopa County. Now we get to the state directors. I've also have Director of Arizona Department of Public Safety. And the reason I have to sue them is because they're the administrator of the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center, which is known as ACTIC. Basically, they have these fusion centers that are tied to a bunch of 3-letter companies, including the police and, a bunch of federal companies, and probably to a bunch of judges or municipal courts and stuff like that. These fusion centers came into play after 9/11, right? After 9/11, they built them pretty much in every state in order to basically be like a surveillance, a huge surveillance station. That's why you're seeing all of these data centers pop up everywhere, because they're using them to gather the data and hold all the data. They're basically like big ass memory cards, but whatever. I also have the director of AZ Department of Transportation in his lawsuit because of the license plate reader database, right? The way that they arrested me or tracked me on April 2nd was because of the license plate database. They also committed several other infractions, like stalking me and giving me tickets based off data that they were using to violate my Fourth Amendment. They basically were violating my Fourth Amendment and tracking me and watching me on video via these license plate reader and these cameras they have everywhere without a warrant, right? So I'm suing the director of AZ Department of Transportation for the lights or for allowing the legalization or administrating the license plate readers, right? Because they use that as for fastest reasons for targeting. Now we go down to individual law enforcement and detention defendants. So I have Officer Bryson Engel of the Gilbert PD. He was the main perp in my May 2023 DUI arrest and illegal eviction from the motel. By the way, that motel I was at was in Town Suites in Gilbert, and I was there for more than a year before I got evicted illegally by the cops. When you're at a place for a long time, even if it's a motel, you're considered a tenant. In most states, in most cities, you're considered a tenant, a legal tenant. So they can't evict you if you've been there a certain time. Just like have the police execute an arbitrary eviction. They can't do that no matter what. They have to go through the courts to get an eviction. Just to let you know. Teaching the law a little bit here for people who don't know. So I have Officer Bryson Engel from the Gilbert Police Department. I have Officer Matthew Figley from the Chandler Police Department. He was the leader in the April 2nd ambush. I call it an algorithmic ambush in my lawsuit here. And also I put that he fabricated a felony deadly weapon, which was a TCAN. And so he fabricated felony deadly weapon charges and suppressed exculpatory evidence. Right? Officer Figley put in the police report that the video of me hitting somebody with the deadly TCAN has no audio. Yeah, right. You fucking liar. Right? You lying sack of shit cop. We also have Officer Edward Zimeno, who was a part of the Chandler ambush on April 2nd, 2025. Officer K. Mead. By the way, Officer Ingham was also present during the Chandler ambush. So he stalked me after the Gilbert arrest and arrested me in the He was the one that pulled me over in the first place in the Chandler ambush. So they had this one cop stalk me. That could be for many reasons. Who knows? But his name is Officer Bryson Ingham. He works at the Gilbert Police Department, probably at every police department at this point. They probably have him as a multi jurisdictional officer, and they assign him to certain targeted individuals, right? Trying to put this all in perspective. Hopefully, y'all can follow. So we got some more. Do I still do DoorDash? I still do deliveries, period, for sure. Officer M. Buttaluco, right? He was the officer who gave me the who had the custody of my blood from the Gilbert DUI arrest in 2023. Officer Shepard, who was also participated in the DUI arrest. Officer Felix of the Gilbert PD, who also participated in the May 12th DUI arrest, who was alongside Officer Ingham when he threatened me and illegally removed me from the motel. Interestingly enough, Officer Felix was omitted from the Gilbert Police Department's police report. How interesting. His name is not even in it. I had to go through hoops and hurdles to even find out who Officer Felix was or who that man's name was who accompanied Officer Ingham and illegally evicted me in 2023 from In-Town Suites. His name is Officer Felix. So that's one of the tactics that's why they're getting sued, because they're omitting police officers from their police report. That's one of the reasons that they're getting sued, on top of illegal arbitrary evictions and false DUI arrests, right? So we got also on top of that Officer Strack with the Gilbert PD, who was the officer who initiated the second investigation and they got me arrested for DUI after I left the motel in May 2023. We got Officer Contreras from Mesa PD. This happened in October of 2025, the incident with him where he tried to pull me over for nothing in Mesa and then tried to plant drugs on me out of retaliation. Then we have a John Doe Gilbert officer, because when I came back from the DUI in 2023 and I got out of jail, I came back to the motel to get my property, and this officer basically stood by as the motel staff stole all my stuff out of my room. So they didn't just lock me out of my place to stay arbitrarily, illegally. They had my car towed and they stole all my stuff out of my room. So they basically locked me out that day in May 2023 and took all my items. That's why they're getting sued for RICO. Next after that is, I guess this would be the 19th or 20th person being sued on the list, is another John Doe Gilbert officer. This was from an incident where officers were banging on my door when I was living at an apartment complex in 2024. After I found a place, after they stole all my stuff and arrested me for DUI in 2023, I found a place. And basically, these two John Doe's Gilbert officers assisted in a residential siege where they were banging on my door loudly for hours. I mean, for like minutes at a time for no reason, for some shit they made up. I also have the LBJ jail intake supervisor. They would be responsible for placing me with the racist, right? We know that's intentional, right? They placed me with the racist. The LBJ jail intake supervisor and staff placed me with a racist, a violent racist, who all of the black inmates were afraid of, by the way. They said, hey, he just stabbed somebody before you came here. I had to look them all in the eyes and tell them I don't give a fuck who he stabbed. He ain't gonna stab me, right? Because that with a pencil. They said he stabbed somebody with a pencil, by the way. I'm like, y'all looking at me. You think you can stab me with a pencil, dog? You think you can stab me with a pencil and not lose your life, bro? Sorry, I made it still, bro. You can't stab me with a pencil. So I had to tell them Negroes that in jail. But when you in jail and you institutionalized, you're not eating right, you're not working out the right way. Yeah, you're afraid of being stabbed by a pencil. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, John Doe Mesa officer, These was in two John Doe Mesa for officers. This was another Mesa event where I was pulled over in April 2025 for nothing, and basically they just pulled me over for no reason, and they were like making me roll down my windows and harassing me and shit like that. And then another Mesa officer who accompanied Officer Contreras for the October 2025 attempted drug planning. So that's 25 defendants already. Let's keep going because we got more. Corporate state actors and the RICO enterprise. So I got in-town suites on here that I'm suing. Like I said, that was the motel who initiated the 2023 eviction that led to the DUI and all that stuff. They facilitated that with the police. So I'm suing them for that. And then they stole all my stuff afterwards. So I'm suing them for that too. So we got the motel in-town suites and their parent company, Starwood Capital Group. We have Waterside at Octillo LLC. This is a Mark Teller managed Chandler apartment complex. That was kind of nice, but you know, the reason I'm suing them is the harassment things that happened while I was there, and then sending things to the eviction court to rig the eviction court judge to treat me very badly, right? So that's why they're getting sued. And then Sahara Palms and Chamberlain and Associates, which is their managing company, for basically harassment that was going on while I was living at Sahara Palms. After I got the DUI, the eviction, I went to Sahara Palms. And then after I got evicted from Sahara Palms, I went to Waterside. But basically, while I was at Sahara Palms, I was being harassed. I was given a bunch of false noise complaints and stuff like that. So it had police harassing me, and then they had this person move above me and next to me, or had people next to me and above me harassing me too, basically, or whatever. They had a family move above me and start harassing me for absolutely no reason. So yeah, shout out to all my targeted individuals out there. Y'all know exactly about that. So another one that I got. This is the 29th. This is the 29th defendant, y'all. We just going. This is the 29th defendant, y'all. We got Actoin LLC. This is for after the April 2nd Chandler arrest. They basically sandblasted my Mercedes E350 and returned it without a functioning battery, even though it had a battery. So I got my battery sabotaged after an arrest by a towing company, and I had to get out of jail after being over detained for 6 days in that Chandler arrest in 2025 to realize that I don't have a functioning car battery and that my car has been sandblasted and drove through a sand lot by the employee, right? By the lot attendant. And then I have the John Doe towing operator, the person who sandblasted my car, driving it through the sand lot with all the windows down, right? And then I have a former attorneys. This goes on a long time, y'all. I'm telling you, this is a really big lawsuit. It's groundbreaking. This is a, what would you call it? A visionary lawsuit, right? It's a visionary lawsuit, period. If I was y'all, I would click that link and I would read through it. Straight up. So, we have Jackson White Law Firm. This was the original law firm that I had hired to be on the DUI case. They basically participated in an information blackout and held a bunch of discovery and notices of hearings that I was supposed to have. So I received failure to appears from the court while I received failure to appears from the Gilbert Municipal Court for this DUI case, multiple, while I had these attorneys detained or retained. So they're giving me failure to appears while I have attorneys, y'all. So that's why I'm suing Jackson White. I feel like they participated in all of this, right? I have some private, either citizens or liaisons of the government and officers of the court. So Gordon, the guy from the motel DUI eviction and arrest, he's the staff member that called the cops on me and lied. Daniel, is the property manager at the In-Town Suites in Gilbert. Like he participated with the police or acted in concert with the police in some way. Because we had a dispute the day before the police showed up about nothing. That's something that he just made up. So I feel like this all went down between him and Gordon and the police as a planned tactical kidnapping. Then I had Monica Nolan, one of the original attorney assigned to my case when I signed up with Jackson White, when I got a detainer with Jackson White. Mr. Ashby was another attorney that was assigned to my case once I got at him about not doing anything in my case or filing any motions and getting me failure to appear and stuff like that. He took over. Carlos Kyle was the paralegal that was, the information gatekeeper, as I have here, for Jackson White. And then a liaison for April 2nd, because once I was arrested and forced out my car without any notification and arrested on an April 2nd arrest for the deadly TCAN felony, Officer Figley decided to say out loud after he put me in his car to say, she told me to call her when we catch him, right? Which means that there's a liaison. Maybe it's a high-ranking government official or a family member of mine, or who knows, right? Or somebody who doesn't like me, who knows? But there's a liaison here. So we got 37 defendants here, y'all, in this RICO suit. When I tell you we getting at them, we really getting at them, and I mean it. Like, it's not a game, it's not a drill. This is very real. Damn, how come I can't see my chats? Hold on, let me bring back up my sheet. See my chats, man. Yeah, this is very real. We got 37 defendants in this RICO case that I got against Arizona here. So just in case anybody thought it was a game, you know what I mean? Think it's a game until them things come out. You feel me? So we got a 37-person RICO case. Hold on, give me 1 second before we get into let me take a quick break real quick, quick bathroom break real quick before we get into some definitions, and then we gonna go into these hopefully y'all listening and learning, because I'm about to go into some things I exposed here about how to find out or how to subpoena some things in court that might be happening with you, right? And to put this puzzle together, and then we're gonna go into the actual charges that I have against him, the actual counts that I have against him. So this is a legal lesson here, and hopefully you guys are learning a lot. But this is a very, very large legal filing that I have here. So yeah, I filed a RICO case against these people, y'all. So give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Hang in there. Y'all have to get into it. All right. So basically, this case is based off of what I deemed as a regional algorithmic enforcement custom. Right. I'm gonna read it up my definition here. A systemic interagency policy. Right. Remember I said that all these three-letter agencies and municipalities are working together. A systemic interagency policy where local municipalities, fusion centers, and private corporate partners share unverified data to bypass the Fourth Amendment warrant requirement. This interoperable ecosystem is effectuated and memorialized through interagency memorandums of understanding. active data sharing agreements, and cross-jurisdictional alert logs, ensuring that a digital flag generated in one jurisdiction automatically triggers enforcement actions across municipal boundaries. Right? This is very important. This is very important because a lot of people, I'm just going to say it. That means you have a social credit score, right? I'm out to prove this in court, right? A lot of people are saying we need to catch up with China. We're already past China. I'm out to prove this in court now, so everybody can see it in real time that you absolutely already and have had probably since 2001 a social credit score that is being tracked up across multiple municipalities, right? Everybody knows everything about you as soon as you walk into their place of business. It's a profile that pops up about you because their security software already read your phone's IP address or Bluetooth signature or your face. It scans your face or whatever. You 100% have a social credit score. There are certain people that are targeted with this, right? Within this system here, because for various reasons, like I said, depopulation, mind control, experiment, ultra reasons, manipulating the public's perception, things like that, right? Let's keep going. Unverified algorithmic alerts. Now, here's a really good one. Shadow warrants. I'm just giving definitions here. These is just my definition section here. And the reason that I'm giving this definition section, by the way, is literally so that the court cannot pretend to be completely ignorant to what I'm saying in my complaint, in my lawsuit, or when I'm the terms I'm going to be using when I'm in court. So I made like a 20 paragraph definition section, just so they can't act like they're confused. So my second definition is unverified algorithmic alerts or shadow warrants, which means that these people putting digital warrants out for you that you don't know you have or that nobody knows you have, and they can arrest you or harass you about them whenever they feel like it. That's what a shadow warrant is, right? A warrant that you don't know about and nobody knows about but the government. They can act on it whenever they feel like it, right? I have it marked as digital flags, officer safety alerts, or algorithmic threat scores generated by regional intelligence databases, memorized and system-generated alerts, internal flag designations, dispatch priority codes, and database query audit trails. These digital markers operate as functional arrest warrants, initiating targeted police seizures without the oversight of a neutral magistrate or individualized probable cause. People, they are bypassing individualized probable cause. They're bypassing probable cause and using things that they already know about you. Right? That is what they're doing. In case you didn't know. They're using things that they spied on you and found out that or unverified data points about you. Like, it could be unverified data. It could be stuff that's not verified. Somebody could have called you a pedo and it'll be there. It might be a part of unverified data because somebody marks you as it somewhere just because they don't like you. So these are the type of things that they're using here now. Right? Just to keep it real. And then I got some more definitions. Automated interagency warrant execution. Right? Automated interagency warrant execution. You can think about that yourself and how crazy that is. Parallel construction. I made a whole post about this, but I probably should explain what it is. Well, I did. I literally just did. So what they'll do is they'll know either that you have something or you did something because they've been spying on you. and then they'll act like they'll pull you over or they'll arrest you and act like whatever it was, or they want to arrest you. They'll pull you over or they'll stop you or they'll approach you and act like whatever it is that they found was was right there on the spot, even though they knew or they found out was right there on the spot, even though they knew that you had it or whatever, they knew you did it or whatever. You see what I'm saying? They'll basically just act like they discovered something that they discovered a long time ago via cameras and via or somebody's tip or something like that. And they'll find a reason to stop you or search you or whatever and accost you and act like they just came across it when they already knew it was there or they're the ones that planted it there. That's called a parallel construction, right? It's an unconstitutional way of violating our Fourth Amendment. And then I put mobile data terminals and predictive software integration. That's basically the police little screens that they have in a mobile data terminals. The police is like little screen that they have in a police car or whatever. Basically, I said predictive software integration. They have predictive policing software like LexisNexis, RiskView, and TransUnion TLO and Palantir Gotham. Right, so they have all this integrated into their mobile data terminals, and basically their mobile data terminals is basically telling them how to handle you, what to do with you, what to use against you, how to aggravate you, all types of shit. It's right there on their mobile data terminals, right? So that's how they know what to do. So don't believe for a second that the police don't know who you are when they pull you over anymore. They automatically know who you are as soon as they read your license plate and all that shit. Right? They know exactly who you are when they pull you over. Okay. To keep going here. Well, I got a whole list here. Y'all can go and read it. These are all my definitions that I integrated. Like I said, the reason that warrantless digital vehicular disablement, telematics override. Whoa. Listen. This is why they still have this case. If you look it up, go look up Harvey versus Gilbert et al. Harvey versus Gilbert et al. Right? Look it up on Google. They still have this case, which it never should have been. They have it as a prisoner's civil rights case. First of all, I wasn't a prisoner when I filed this case. So I don't know why they have it as a prisoner's civil rights case. But what that does is it allows them to administratively stop the details of the case from going public. That's number one. And number two, it allows them to screen the case for an unusually long time, months and months and months before they actually got to deal with it. They get to put it through some rigorous screening process. So they have it as a prisoner's civil rights case, which I'm not a prisoner. I wasn't when I filed it. And this is probably why. Because before I even get to the lawsuit at all, I already exposed the entire system, right? So here we go. Warrantless digital vehicular disablement. Telematics override. So basically, they kill switched my Mercedes remotely. I had a Mercedes E350 2014, and they kill switched it remotely and with the CAN bus system and localized signal jamming. You can read the complaint. I'm not going to read the whole definition of everything, but basically, they kill switched my Mercedes remotely and illegally without having a conviction or anything. They had no reason to do it, but they just decided they didn't want me to have my nice ass Mercedes that I had. So they hacked it remotely and kill switched it without a warrant or without any reasoning. Right? This is after I got released from the April 2nd thing and I got a new battery in my Mercedes and all that shit. Privatized optical integration, warrantless audio visual penetration. You guys really need to look into what all this is. Network and communications interference or digital isolation, privatized aerial surveillance, tactical UAV deployment. So basically, they kept deploying these drones, or at least once or twice, above my apartment. And basically, what these drones do is they allow the government to use these. Basically, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but they can locate you, do some kind of infrared or something like that, and signals with a drone on top of your apartment. They can locate exactly where you are inside of your apartment. That's how that works. And so they would keep sending these drones, or at least twice while I was at Sahara Palms in 2024, 2023 to late 2023 to 2024, to hover over my apartment while I was sleeping and basically use me as like a test subject to see if they could use it to find my location in the apartment. And these drones let off these low frequency vibrations that basically make your whole apartment like shake and make noise. So it's really annoying. You can't really sleep through it without earplugs. That's how I knew it was there, and I figured it out. And then I move on to judicial subversion and due process violations. I'm still in my definition section, by the way. Fraudulent concealment, information blackout, Brady violation. You can look into what that is, but basically, a coordinated practice by state actors and legal counsel to deliberately withhold exculpatory discovery and suppress surveillance logs and fail to provide notice of hearings, which I explained earlier, that Jackson White did. That's why I'm suing their asses. Extrinsic fraud on the court, judicial administrative fraud, interference with legal process, which is mail interception. Another thing I'm suing for, a mail interception. Coercive financial extraction scheme, which is another definition of mine. Discriminatory algorithmic profiling, or digital redlining. Extrajudicial lockout pipeline, state action via corporate integration, which is a way for people to maintain plausible deniability by having corporate entities or people who work for corporate entities perform state actions, which is illegal. Civilian proxy surveillance or state informants, civilian proxies. If you don't know what a civilian proxies is, you need to look into it ASAP. Informant consideration agreements, right? This quid pro quo compensation provided to civilian proxies acting under color of state law in exchange for continuous surveillance. So basically, people getting incentivized to surveil you illegally as normal civilians instead of actual state actors or police, registered police, right? This is a way for the state to get plausible deniability. I hope all you people who talk about being gang stalked are listening right now. This is very important. It's very important. Unlawful credential exploitation. The deliberate issuance of electronic keys, master passcodes, or physical access credentials to non-staff individuals. So all these people who are talking about being gang stalked, guess what? You talking about, oh, my things are being moved when I'm not home or not in my apartment. Things are going missing, things like that. Guess what? This is what this is talking about here. That way the court, I'm giving this definition before I even get into the actual counts that I have against any of my defendants, because it's to prevent the court from being able to say that they don't know what I'm talking about when I say these things, right? So the deliberate issuance of electronic keys, master passcodes, or physical access credentials to non-staff individuals. Basically, apartment management giving giving authority and giving access to your place or apartments to landlords or to regular civilians acting as state actors in order to invade your privacy. Okay, let's keep going. Nuisance abetment leverage, state compulsion. Basically, that's when, let me just read it. The systemic practice wherein municipal law enforcement utilizes the threat code of enforcement violations, heavy municipal fines, or the revocation of businesses' licenses to coerce private corporate entities into acting as off-the-books intelligence gatherers. So it's basically where the police or the government threatens corporate entities or businesses to basically play state actors. And they basically come in and say, if you don't do this and collect all this data and collect all this information on this person or all of your tenants or whatever, this is what's going to happen. We're going to impose these sanctions. We're going to do this to your company. Da 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 da. Right? Crime. Another definition is crime-free multi-housing integration. This is municipal programs that formally merge private property management with law enforcement intelligence networks. I won't go any further into it than that. Then I went into timeliness of claims and tolling. So that's basically me just telling them exactly why that my claims are on time for each and every single person that is, or each and every single defendant that is mentioned in this lawsuit. The explanation of why the statute of limitations should be told on the defendants and on accounts that were technically filed too late, right? So I cited the continuous violation doctrine, the federal discovery rule, which says you can't really, the time of the statute of limitations doesn't really start going until you actually discovered the infraction, right? Then I have equitable tolling, be it fraudulent concealment, which basically says that if the information is concealed from me by government entities or state actors, then I have no way of knowing. So the statute of limitations shouldn't start running until the information is revealed to me, or I find it, or I come across it. And then the last one is delayed accrual via the active criminal cases. My criminal cases are still active, so there's no point in saying that the statute of limitations are running, because for the majority of the counts, the statute of limitations doesn't even start going until the case ends. So there you go. I put the mechanism of the conspiracy. That would be the Falcon LPR tracking network, or what the hell is the name of that shit? Flock safety. Statewide learn database and interagency alerts like ACTIC, the ACT, So cool. Real page and algorithmic tenant screening as one of the mechanisms of the conspiracy. If you don't know what Real Page is, come on, man. Real Page provides property management software and AI-driven screening tools that automate decision-making regarding tenant residency and revenue management. These algorithms are designed to identify and flag residents based on specific risk profiles, which can be used to coordinate a displacement strategy that prioritizes corporate financial objectives over standard residential protections. Okay, so Real Page is a resident screening software that basically assesses you as a risk, determines how your landlord should treat you, and how much money they should charge you. So if you get random charges on your rent, it's probably coming from a screening software like this. You're like, why the hell they just put a random charge on my rent that I really don't own? It's the screening software that's telling me to do it. And also that's telling them to dare you to do anything about it, right? Because they work with law enforcement. Haystacks technology and interagency information sharing. Haystacks operates platforms that serve as a threat assessment and information sharing tools for law enforcement and government agencies. This infrastructure allows for the ingestion of reports from private corporate entities into interagency databases. These records can lead to the creation of administrative flags to justify tactical law enforcement responses or interventions without traditional judicial oversight or a public record of the underlying allegations. Next, I have Nextdoor, right? Nextdoor provides a neighbor platform. Nextdoor provides a platform for hyperlocal social networking, including specialized portals for public agencies to monitor community data. So the cops have specialized portals or Nextdoor where they can monitor people or monitor community data. The cop link information sharing node. Your municipal defendants utilize the cop link platform to facilitate the seamless interagency exchange of unverified law enforcement records and ingested data across regional boundaries, right? And then finally, I have Palantir as a mechanism of the conspiracy that happened with me, or that's been happening with me this whole time. Okay, if you haven't heard of Palantir and Peter Thiel, I suggest you do your research. This is very deep stuff here. You need to look into Palantir if you want to know about, more about the social credit score and unverified data laundering and the depopulation and what happened with COVID and all that type of stuff and how they decided who would perish and who they wouldn't murder in the hospital and all that type of stuff. The Palantir analytical engine. The defendants utilized Palantir Gotham as the primary analytical engine to ingest massive amounts of disparate data, including TLO reports, real page screening alerts, and flop pings to generate predictive threat scores. Yes, this is the social credit score thing that I was talking about, y'all. I mean, everything I just talked about encapsulated that, but this is basically the evolution of it. This disparate data includes TLO reports, real page screening alerts, and flock pings. This software performs algorithmic laundering by converting stale, subjective, or malicious inputs into formalized priority zero alerts and officer safety warnings. The use of this proprietary infrastructure provides the technical pretext for high-risk tactical seizures, substituting an unaccountable algorithm for the individualized probable cause required by the Fourth Amendment. So these are all the things that they're using to bypass the Constitution, y'all. We need to know when we don't have any rights. It's very important that everybody be on the same page about this, because at any minute or any moment, this could be you or one of your family members. Just because they like you, don't mean they like your family members. One of your family members might have a bad social credit score, right? Now they're in a situation where they're being targeted by police and isolated from you, isolated from their family, and nobody even understands why. Understand that they're being targeted by the government and that they're being narcissistically influenced to turn on their own family members or friends or whatever, right? That's just the reality of that. Once again, like I said, type in Harvey versus Gilbert et al. On Google in order to see this case. It's not fake. You want to see that as real? Go type it on Google. You'll see that as real. Please smash and hit the like button if you're legally inclined. Let me go ahead and share this live stream before I continue. I'm not going to read every single statement of fact about what happened to me because there's just way too many. There's like 300 paragraphs. There's just way too many statement of facts for me to actually read them all. I'm more or less going to go into the actual counts that I have against them, right? It's like 40. It's like 40. But let me go ahead and start sharing this link here and just letting it be known that I am live on YouTube here. So just so everybody knows, and then I'll get back into it. All right, it's posted on Facebook. I realize it's a little dead right now, but that's okay. It's fine. Let me post it on Reddit real quick. Then we can go from there. So let me get this stream out a little bit. Let me get this stream out so people can get this information, y'all. I know people are stupid, you know what I'm saying? And it almost seems pointless to be trying to explain things in a way that's so in depth, and complicated. But it's meant for the people who can follow, right? It's meant for the people who can follow. It's just that simple. And I hope the people who can follow can digest something from this and can learn that um, there's things the government are doing, even to you, on a daily that are illegal. So I got about 30 defendants in this joint. You know what I'm saying? All right, it's posted on Twitter. I don't know what the hell is going on with my restream. I don't think my restream working. So I think I'm only posting to YouTube right now, which is fine. But I'd rather my restream work. But we'll figure it out. So yeah, I got my statement of facts here. Just detailing everything that I went through between 2023 and about 2026. Um, Multiple tactical arrests, constant civilian proxy harassment, constant defamation, constant smear campaigns, um, constant manufactured accidents. I mean, you name it. It's so much shit that I had to make a 300 paragraph statement of fact lawsuit. This entire lawsuit, just without any of the evidence, photos, or anything, is like 47 pages, and I'm not capping. And I ain't capping, so I'm just scrolling through this thing here. Okay, this details the April 2nd event, falsification of felony, post detention and vehicle tampering, violations of judicial conduct, Mason style license plate allegations, interaction. Let me see. Let's go through here. Let's go through here. Y'all see how big this kid, bro? Like, when I tell you I went all in, I went all in. I ain't playing with these people. I think I'll either do another blog or another live tomorrow detailing about where this case has went since March 2026. But basically, the Sandra Day O'Connor court and Judge Humatiwa, who's assigned to my case, and the court clerks are being extremely childish because why wouldn't they be? I exposed the entire system. So they have to be. It's their job to be extremely childish right here, right? They have to be. Um, okay, before I go on to any causes of action and the counts that I have against these people, I'm not going to read through the entire counts, like the description of them. I'm just going to read the counts that I have. Um, I put that in my lawsuit that I filed a notice of claim against the town of Gilbert. I comply with ARS 12-82101. That's Arizona revised statutes, by the way. Arizona revised statutes, number 12-821.01. And I served a notice of claim, which is you have to serve a notice of claim if you're going to sue a municipality. You have to serve it. Like, if you're going to sue a town or sue a city or something like that, a municipality, you have to serve them with a notice of claim. A government entity, yes, you have to serve them with a notice of claim within a certain time, depending on the statute of limitation is dependent on your jurisdiction or the jurisdiction of depends on who you're suing or whatever. So, but you got to file a notice of claim. If not, then when you get to court, they're just going to say, or you try to file a lawsuit, they're going to say you didn't file a notice of claim. So, yeah, your claim is invalid unless you filed a federal lawsuit. If federal lawsuits don't require notices of claim, right? So I let it be known that I filed a notice of claim against with the town of Gilbert and the city of Chandler's town clerks on September 25th, 2025. So my cases, at least the state tort claims, are completely legally valid and on time. Okay. So now we can get to the causes of action before I close this out here. I don't know how long we've been live. Fuck an hour. God damn. How the fuck we been live an hour? Anyway, before I close this out here, I can get to my causes of actions or whatever. God damn, we been live an hour. I was trying not to make this shit that long, but I guess it just be that way sometimes. So we can get to this causes of action here. I have against In Town Suites, the motel where I was illegally evicted from by the police, and then once I left, I was arrested for a DUI across the street that was completely made up. Um, I have the 14th Amendment and 42 USC 1981, equal protection, discriminatory intelligence input versus Daniel and In Town Suites. I have fraudulent misrepresentation and I literally have like 40 counts against these people, y'all. Fraudulent misrepresentation and defamation versus the town of Gilbert and In Town Suites and Gordon Knight. Deliberately misrepresented the situation as a noise complaint in order to get the police to treat me as a security threat. I have wrongful eviction and related property torts. Unlawful seizure of dwelling, digital privacy intrusion, failure to intervene from the police. For the legal malpractice, I have Fourth Amendment and judicial deception, malicious prosecution. It just goes on. Stigma plus and foreclosure of occupational liberty. Versus that's Gilbert against Gilbert. I have a right to contract because they made me lose my Uber Eats job because they arrested me for DUI. Breach of implied bailment contract because the motel disposed of over $5,000 to $10,000 of my personal items after I came back to get them after I was arrested illegally. Man, 14th Amendment clauses against Jackson White, the law firm, racial discrimination against Jackson White, the law firm, legal malpractice against Jackson White. I have a Monell liability. I have a Monell claim against Town of Gilbert and City of Chandler for the custom of shadow dockets and hidden cases and policies of fraudulent concealment, right? And then I got these counts against Sahara Palms and Waterside at Attila, which are the two apartment complexes that I resided at between 2023 and 2025 after the In Town Suites thing. I have federal Lawfare Housing Act discrimination. I have breach of lease agreement as a state tort. Arizona Landlord Tenant Act violations and unjust enrichment. Which is basically, that's against Sahara Palms and their parent company and Waterside. Like I said about RealPage earlier and softwares like that, they screen the resident and they determine how the landlord should treat the resident and how the local state actors and police should treat the resident, right? So yeah. So, breach of lease agreement, Arizona Landlord Tenant Act violations, and unjust enrichment. So when they give you these false charges to your lease agreement or to your rent, they put these little random charges on there that really don't apply. That's unjust enrichment. So that's why I have that as a tort, by the way. That's a state tort. So there's by the way, what we're seeing is I filed state torts and state counts against them and also federal counts. I filed this lawsuit in federal court because I wanted to file both federal counts and state counts against them, right? Just to make sure that they can't get out of it no matter what. With the state torts, you have to send that notice of claim for the state torts to be able to be good in court. If not, if you didn't send them a notice of claim to a government entity, state torts have no standing in court. So you have to send a notice of claim to be able to file state torts. So if I was, if I was to file a statewide, like say if I was to file this lawsuit in state court instead of a federal lawsuit, and I was just to file state torts against them in the superior court, right? I would have to, you have to file a notice of claim for those counts those state tort counts to be able to be valid. If you don't file a notice of claim within the right statute of limitations, your state tort counts aren't valid. So I filed a notice of claim within the statute of limitations to Chandler and Gilbert because I wanted my state tort counts to be valid and my federal counts to be valid, right? Federal counts don't require a notice of claim, but I wanted everything, every count I had against these people to stick. So I took every step, right? Moving on. Fourth Amendment residential intrusions, fire pretext against the Gilbert Fire Department. At some time in 2024, when I was staying in the Sahara Palms, maybe June or July during the summer, the fire department just decided to walk into my apartment and unlock my door, walk into my apartment without announcing themselves. So that's another thing that's on here, right? Things like that. Fourth Amendment unreasonable search and seizure in a residential siege that happened at Sahara Palms. Remember I told you earlier about the cops just knocking on my door, banging on my door for minutes at a time for no reason, and insulting me and making threats at me for no reason. So, Fourth Amendment, a reasonable search and seizure. Okay, we keep going. This gets into the stuff resulting from the April 2nd quote unquote TCAN felony arrest made by the Chandler Police Department and Bryson Ingham, who decided to be out of his jurisdiction when he stopped me, right? And stalked me out of his jurisdiction in an unmarked car and stopped me in order for the Chandler police to show up and arrest me for this. So I have Fourth Amendment unreasonable seizure and algorithmic arrest, right? LPR tracking and property seizure because they use the license plate reader and all these cameras in a real-time operation center that they have in order to track me for a high-risk arrest days or weeks or a week or weeks after they claim the incident happening. Okay. So when it's a high-risk arrest like that and a felony arrest, it's supposed to happen same day. They're supposed to be looking for you the same exact day. When it happens a week afterwards or just get initiated a week afterwards, yeah, that's because they created a separate case to come after you for. That has nothing to do with the case that they claim, the incident that they claim happened on whatever date. They made up a new case, a new felony case, to be able to tactically ambush you, right? But that's neither here nor there. That's just to fill you in on some shit, just in case you ain't know it. In case you ain't know, that's how they go around the double jeopardy rule. They'll let if there's an incident that they claim happened, they'll let the date of the incident, like if it's a minor incident, like a misdemeanor, they'll let the date of the incident go by, and then they'll create a brand new case that involves a made up felony from that incident, and they'll arrest you aggressively on that felony, hoping that they can create another charge by arresting you aggressively on that felony. If you can follow me on that, right? I know this is a lot. I'm decoding the matrix here. I get it, right? Next, we moving on. 14th Amendment, state-created danger and excessive force provocation, right? That was against all the officers that were there. They pulled up, they had Bryson Ingham, who was an officer that had been stalking and harassing me for years at that point, pull me over before they even showed up there. He didn't tell me why the fuck I was being stopped. And then once all the Chandler officers came up, they made me get out of the car without telling me why I gotta get out the car. So they psychologically basically tortured me and shit like that. And and a bunch of illegal shit. You can't make me get out the car without telling me I'm under arrest or why I gotta get out the car and all types of crazy shit. You can't just threaten me and do all this goofy shit, right? That they did. Read the complaint, right? Um, Fourth Amendment failure to protect and deliberate indifference to inmate safety. That's versus the LBJ intake supervisor and the detention officers. As I've said, they placed me in that 6 day over detention, and they placed me with a violent white supremacist that had Aryan Nation tattooed on his chest, had nigger tattooed on his back. That's the first thing he showed me once I got into the cell, and he helped me pull my cot into the cell. I don't know what that was for, some kind of psychological play on me, but I'm looking at this motherfucker like, I don't care what you got tattooed on you, bro. Like, nigga, it ain't gonna help you. It don't like give you a defense boost. like I don't understand. Like, remember I told you earlier, like all the inmates was like genuinely afraid of this cat. Like, oh, he crazy. He stabbed the black dude with a pencil before you got here. He stabbed his last cellmate with a pencil. First of all, go look at my Instagram and my YouTube. You see where I ain't afraid of getting stabbed with no pencil, bro. That's silly. And then number two, it's like, bro, like I ain't worried about none of that. Like, I ain't gonna mess with you as long as you don't mess with me. I ain't gonna give you a reason. If you try to create a reason, we just gonna have a problem. But understand, these are the type of circumstances that they put you in when you're targeted, in order to make sure that once they have you in custody, even if it's illegally that they got you in custody, they want to have you in custody for as long as they can. They want to make sure that you can't leave, or you get another charge, or you wind up incapacitated while you're in there, right? The easiest way to do that is to instantly place you in an adversarial situation. Like with a racist, violent cellmate. But we didn't get into it the whole time I was there. Like, I'm a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? And then the first time he tried to like pull some psychological shit, like I didn't budge. I just like looked at him in the eyes, like whatever, and just kept talking. So he realized the psychological games don't work on me. You're gonna have to actually pull me into a confrontation, and that's when I'm gonna fuck you up, right? You gotta force me into the confrontation, and that's what's gonna get real. Anywho, 14, another count. 14th Amendment investigative misconduct, fabrication, and Brady Giglio. Was talking about how Figley and the defendants fabricated a felony deadly weapon charge against me using a T-can and suppressed exculpatory Circle K evidence, right? This is supposed to happen at a Circle K. I threw a deadly Arizona T-can at somebody, and I guess it almost killed them because they named it as a deadly weapon, right? Why else would they name a T-can as a deadly weapon unless the T-can that they set threw at somebody almost killed them, right? It must have bust their head open it must have bust their head open like a bat hitting a watermelon. It must have busted. This deadly T-can must have bust somebody's head open like you stabbed a orange with a pencil. it must have just busted their head open, like just bursted it. Like, it must have just made blood and pus and juices just splash out of them for it to be a deadly weapon as an Arizona T-can. Like, like, I don't understand, but this is what they did. Apparently, I threw a deadly Arizona T-can on somebody, right? I guess it busted. I guess it knocked blood and pus and juices out of them somehow. You know what I'm saying? It's no way. They had no other choice but to determine this T-can as a deadly weapon projectile, because I can use my hand in human force to turn a T-can into a deadly weapon that can kill somebody without actually. Arizona T-can was considered a deadly weapon on this police report and in this arrest. Yeah, that's where we're at, right in Arizona. Funny how it was an Arizona T-can. Y'all, like, that's bad. First of all, that's bad. Like, that's bad promotion. Like, it's an Arizona T-can. You're going to say an Arizona T-can a deadly weapon? You're going to promote that like that? Y'all stupid here in Arizona. I don't understand you dumb motherfuckers. The sun and the heat wave must have fried y'all goddamn brain. Y'all stupid. Just going to disrespect Arizona T-cans like that. Knowing they damn near 79 cents a damn can. When you get it with especially when you get it with your discount. Nigga, they ain't making no daily T-can for no 79 cents. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, move right along. State tort, malicious prosecution, and property sabotage. Against Officer Maggie Figley. Okay, yeah, that's the deadly weapon T-can. Extrinsic fraud. And 14th Amendment denial of due process. Okay, that's about the Waterside at Actillo thing where I said they transmitted the threat scores to the judge because when I went to have the eviction hearing for Waterside in 2025 after that arrest that ruined my ability to pay my rent. The judge was basically acting like an insane person and didn't even let me speak. After I waited for 2 hours to talk to her, she yelled over me and didn't even let me speak. So I'm like, that's likely because that the apartment complex sent her a bunch of information along with the police and all types of stuff because they have this database and so the judge just treated me like shit. Moving on. Systemic customs, enterprise liability, and conspiracy. I had 14th Amendment, equal protection, and algorithmic bias as a count. As I should. You feel me? As I should. I'm not going to get into that whole thing because it's actually a really, really big count. It has 4 paragraphs. You should read it. Then I have the Silver RICO count, which is another really, really big RICO count. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Oh, it's never a big count, by the way. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is against all of the defendants, basically, right? Actually, I should probably read this whole thing, huh? I should probably read this whole thing, because this is what the lawsuit is about. Okay. So, yeah, I filed a RICO suit against these people. A civil RICO. Let's get into it. I won't bullshit any longer. I definitely need to read this. It's important. Civil RICO 18 USC, United States Code, 1962, and Global Civil Rights Conspiracy, 42 USC, 1983 and 1985 against basically majority of defendants. Defendants function as an associated in fact enterprise, right? That's what's necessary for a RICO case. They don't actually have to be a one entity. They can function as an associated in fact enterprise, which means that they use integrated data bases and they conspire against you illegally. You can file a RICO case against them, right? They don't even have to be an actual single entity. They can use integrated databases and integrated and shared data, and you can file a RICO case against them. Defendants function as an associated in fact enterprise. The East Valley, quoted by me, deemed the East Valley enforcement ecosystem, which has become the entire Arizona enforcement ecosystem or the U.S. enforcement ecosystem at this point, because you have a social credit score. Anyway, operating through a specialized 3-tier structure designed to weaponize state dispatch system for private interests and extract financial penalties. Paragraph 2 of the RICO count. Predicate acts. Pattern of racketeering activity. Wire fraud. 18 USC 1343. So what I'm doing here is you have to describe the enterprise. You have to describe the predicate acts, which have to consist of either extortion or some kind of wire fraud or mail fraud. You have to have 2 out of 3 of those: extortion, wire fraud, or mail fraud. Right? and then the injury to business and property. So you have to have those three things. You have to describe the enterprise. You have to have the predicate acts, which is could be wire fraud, mail fraud, or extortion, or extrinsic fraud, or whatever. You have to describe the predicate acts, and then you have to describe the injury to business and property, and that's how you form a RICO count in a lawsuit, right? So we're just going through it. Predicate acts, pattern of racketeering activity, wire fraud, 18 USC 1343. Utilization of interstate wires, TLO portal, CopLink, Politier Gotham, LPR networks to transmit materially false threat flags and unverified threat scores to justify seizures and coordinate the displacement of the plaintiff. Right? I was saying they're using all these softwares, data aggregators, and legal data laundering of unverified data that's not even true. Unverified means it's not verified. So it's not even true or verified in order to create these threat scores or social credit score to justify seizures in a way I was being treated by landlords, mechanics, paramedics, and this is still happening now, paramedics, doctors, physical therapists, the list goes on. You can't go anywhere without being treated by this score. And it's data, right? Next one was mail fraud. This is the second predicate act. Mail fraud, 18 USC 1341 1708. Systematic interception and concealment of plaintiff's mail at Sahara Palms and Waterside El Cotillo to manufacture missed legal deadlines, hide judicial summonses, and enable the shadow warrants required for the enterprise timed arrest. Right? So the whole time I was living at Sahara Palms, my mailbox was open every time I went to do it. It was always open. Why the fuck open? And at Waterside, I just never got an email at all the whole time I was there. Maybe they were just intercepting it. So that's that. And then the next predicate act, the third predicate act, extortion, Hobbs Act, 18 USC 1951. Utilization of the color of official right to extract property and capital, including the disposal of 10,000 in tools, which happened at Midtown Suites in 2023. After the DUI arrest, extraction of bond, extraction of bonds amounts and retention of paid rent at Midtown Suites for May 10th through the 17th, and the extortion of additional retainer fees by Jackson White Law Firm, who requested payments under the manufactured threat of arrest using the outstanding FTA warrants as leverage. Right, so after Jackson White basically allowed the court to give me failure to appear while they were retained as lawyers, they basically started asking me for more money after that happened, while I had failure to appear warrants out for me. So they basically try to make me pay them under the threat of arrest, right? For doing absolutely nothing, not even showing up to court. The next I have 4 predicate acts. Man, I was thorough with this shit. I'm telling you, y'all. Hey, I'm telling you, I was thorough with this shit. The 4th predicate act is extrinsic fraud and joint action. Coordinated conduct to prevent plaintiff from presenting his case by transmitting unverified threat assessments ex parte to rig judicial outcomes and facilitate planned evictions. Okay, and then the injury to business and property as the third part of this count is, as a direct result of this pattern, plaintiff suffered the foreclosure of a 10-year professional gig economy career, conversion of $10,000 in tools, and destruction of digital goodwill. Specifically, the enterprise caused direct financial injury due to the unauthorized retention of the Sahara Palms security deposit and the extraction of unknown charges and resulting non-payment fees manufactured to induce financial exhaustion. This violation was a direct result of the regional algorithmic enforcement custom, and a failure to train on individualized probable cause. Okay. So I have some more towards for the Mesa stops and things like that. I have the Mesa. I had 2 Mesa stops that were completely illegal, and I was being harassed after those situations between 25 and 26. Like I said, one was where I was just ordered to roll my windows down for nothing, and then I was ordered to. Then the next stop in October, I was the cops tried to plant drugs on me while I was in my Mercedes or whatever in Mesa doing food deliveries. So I got Fourth Amendment unreasonable seizures and Title 6 violation or whatever. Title 4, sorry. Um, I got state retaliation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, which is a state tort. Arizona constitutional privacy violations because those people who stopped me in Mesa were tracking my vehicular movements via the cameras, the flock safety cameras, and their surveillance apparatus. And then 42 USC 1981 equal benefits clause violation, where I marked the civil bathtub dispute between me and the manager at In-Town Suites was a systemic conspiracy specifically designed to deprive a member of a protected class of the equal benefits of all laws and the security of property. Because I said that because basically that's where everything started. That's where everything started to go downhill. And all this harassment really went super into overdrive was after that situation, right? So that I'm assuming that situation was to begin the harassment and strip me of all my rights and get me into the system that where I have no rights and I have no recourse and all that shit. So now we going down to the damages audit. You know what I'm saying? I got trouble RICO damages, non-RICO damages, total statutory penalty, total da 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 da. So listen, I ain't gonna say this number out loud, right? But you can scroll through it and see how I justify it. This is the number that I sue these people for, right? It is what it is. This is the number. I'm not gonna say it out loud. As far as I'm concerned, they owe me this amount of money. Period. They owe me this amount of money. They can sit here and play games. They can act dumb. They can play dumb. They can, whatever the hell these people want to do in order to try to avoid the fact that they owe me my money is fine. And that all these things actually happen is fine. And I have the evidence for all these things actually happen is fine. But it is what it is. This is the number that I'm suing them for this particular case. I have several more cases that I'll be suing them for, pressing lawsuits for. I haven't filed them yet. This one is actually filed. But in case they think I'm going to take their foot off their necks, I'm going to take my foot off their necks, right? Because they playing games with this case right now, playing all types of games. They just being goofy. So, and that's fine. I expected that. But just in case they thought that it was over, I sent them a supplemental statement of facts, which I will review in a different video because this one is way too long now. So I'm refusing to do that right now and go over any other thing. Listen, it's like an hour or two into this video. I just wanted to explain my RICO case and some of the things that I've revealed in the case. Listen, I got my proof here. I got my evidence here, evidentiary pages, whatever. Like, this is the evidence that they said they pulled me over for the DUI after I got evicted from the place across the street because I was blocking off the driveway. I'm clearly not blocking off any driveway. Everybody can get in and get out. Police reports. This is Officer Angham on April 2nd. Dickhead, because he tried to delete the footage in my phone and couldn't. Dumbass. So I called him on April 2nd. He was the officer that set up the DUI arrest on May 13th or May 12th, 2023. right? Dumbass, that's him. You know what I mean? I got all my shit here, yada yada yada. You know, yeah, all my evidence. So I gave them everything I needed. I got everything I needed. There's no there's no way out. You feel me? The trap is set. It is what it is. You feel me? We gonna do what we do. I don't know why the hell it just my screen started tripping. My screen started tripping. All right, but yeah, this is everything. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to show you guys that I come fully prepared. I'm fully strapped, and we're gonna have this out in court. And I'll keep you guys updated since they wanted to keep the case a secret and keep it labeled as a prisoner civil rights. Oh yeah, this is all the evidence of me exposing the fire department right here, right? The fire entry. That's him knocking. This dickhead from the fire department, probably a cop, knocking at 4 seconds, and then him entering at 6 seconds. So he ain't even knock for 2 seconds. You see this dickhead's head right there, right? You see his fucking head right there because he's a dickhead. So you can enjoy that. Like shit like that. This is how badly I got them in this lawsuit, y'all. Look, this is the battery I had to get from on 4/8/2025 when I got released for the false ass felony arrest. This is the battery I had to get for the Mercedes Benz, right? All types of shit I got going on here, man. Look, this is me showing that I got this notice from Waterside Attila on April 4th, which is how I know that this whole arrest, the whole April 2nd arrest, and all that was coordinated with the landlord in Waterside and Mark Teller, the management, because I got arrested on April 4th, on April 2nd, and then I got a notice on April 4th. So they arrested me literally right, and my rent was due on April 3rd. So they literally arrested me right before my rent was about to be paid. I was literally about to pay my rent the next day. So that's conspiracy and extortion. Extortion of late fees too, because they knew I was going to have late fees. They knew it, right? This is how you figure out. This is how you piece together the puzzle, y'all. I'm just trying to tell you. Hope you're keeping up with everything, right? Hope y'all keeping up with everything. This is how you piece together the puzzle, y'all. You got to piece it together. So hopefully y'all gonna read this complaint, man, and understand it thoroughly. I made it very thorough and easy to understand. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they left some stuff out that I put in there, but yeah, how cute. I swear they left some stuff out, but maybe it's just me. My definition section was super thorough. But listen, I ain't gonna look for it on that. I'm like, oh. My definition section was super thorough. Hold on. Just to make sure they ain't leaving nothing out. I think they did, but it's cool. Don't worry about it. I just want to get it out about this complaint, man. And I'm glad that I was able to educate you guys. Hopefully you learned a lot. Hopefully you wanted to pay attention to something this long. And to learn something about the law and learn something about how you piece together the puzzle of what's happening to you as maybe a targeted individual or whatever, or anything like that. Oh, 100%. They 100% cut stuff. Oh, they 100% cut stuff out of my definitions. 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They cut a lot of stuff out of my definitions, y'all. Oh yeah, y'all. Oh yeah, y'all. You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. Cause I realize this is what I'm gonna do. Before I turn this video off, so y'all can see my actual full complaint. Cause now that I'm reading the complaint, they cut out a lot of stuff here. So before I get off here, let me just do this here. We ain't about to play this game here though. They ain't about to disrespect me, bro. It's a lot of stuff they screened out of this complaint. For sure. So, this is what we'll do. Make this real easy for y'all. I'm gonna put an actual link to the raw complaint in the chat right now. If you want to read the raw complaint before the court got to edit it, it's in the chat right now. Click the link, right? And then I'll put a link in the description too, so it's there. You know what? I actually got to go through. Let me. Before we get off, super important. Let me put this link in there. Yeah. Let me do it right now. So I'm gonna put the link to the actual complaint because I realized it wasn't working before. I see now that it wasn't working before, but now I know what I was doing wrong, yo. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on YouTube, so okay, give me a break. I'm learning how to do it. Now it should work. This link should work. That's the link to the actual raw complaint, right? That's the link to the raw complaint, y'all. So you got the raw complaint there before it got edited by the court because the court running scared like a muff. The niggas running scared. So yeah, they gonna edit my complaint. I'm looking at it now and I'm realizing that they 100% edited the hell. It was so y'all. It was so much information in this complaint you wouldn't even be able to believe. But I put the court's version of the complaint, which is in my Substack. You should subscribe to it if you like to read a little bit. I'll be doing updates via that. But that's more of a reading type of deal. I'll be doing long articles and posting like court transcripts and audio for court hearings and things like that and audio from occurrences in my Substack. So yeah, like I said, the Google Drive link here in the chat right now is literally for the raw lawsuit before the court edited it. The second one here at the bottom, the last one at the bottom here is the court edited complaint that I have in my Substack. I'm actually going to wind up uploading the raw one in my Substack as well, and the supplemental statement of facts that I have too into my Substack pretty soon. So stay tuned. We got plenty more to talk about. I'm just trying to catch y'all up on things that have been happening for the past 3 years and all the information that I've come across in order to learn how to counter these systems that target and monetize these systems that target innocent civilians for whatever goofy reasons that the government has. We could talk about it forever. Totalitarianism, capitalism, depopulation, the mind control, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. All of it's bullshit, and we here to stop all that shit. We learn as much as we can. Knowledge is power, and the reason that knowledge is power is because when you know enough, you know how to avoid beating the system, right? So let's escape. The planet might be a prison, but we ain't gotta live in a prison. We could take back our country. We could take back our planet. And it is what it is, man. It's just take the knowledge and the patience and the strategy to make it happen. I'm tired as hell, man. Before I fall asleep on stream, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm out. Peace.